Hey guys, Wyatt Claypool here. I was just looking at this post from the Liberal Party of Canada late last night, and it got me going down a rabbit hole figuring out what the Liberal Party is even trying to run on in this federal election. As you can see in this post, they say Mark Carney has a plan to make Canada safer for you and your family. And they clip a CBC headline that says Carney announces sweeping plan to crack down on crime and strengthen the border. Well, doesn't that sound great? And there's another post here that kind of details out what he wants to do to make us all safer. One, he has actually criticized Pierre Poilievre for actually wanting to lock up repeat offenders, so he doesn't want to do that. But let's see what Carney wants to do. So it says Mark Carney is ready to build safer communities. Hashtag Canada Strong. And then it says Mark Carney will fight crime, protect Canadians, and build safer communities. And he wants to recruit 2,000 new RCMP and CBSA officers, which is honestly not that big when you consider the size of this country. Crack down on illegal drugs and guns coming from the United States. Okay, I don't know how he's going to do that because he's been belittling the problem on the border because I guess he has to oppose Donald Trump. Third one, he says more funding to prosecute violent criminal gangs. Okay, well, are you actually going to lock them up? Because that seems like a bit of a problem. You can't prosecute people harder if you're not actually going to sentence them harder. And it says stricter bail laws for home invasion and car theft. Not violent crime, apparently, not other sorts of crimes, but if someone invades your home or steals your car and they do find the guy, they might consider not releasing him as fast. Do I actually think he's going to do that? Well, no, because Mark Carney has not announced that he's going to get rid of Bill C-75, Bill C-5, any of the soft on crime bills that reduce sentences for carrying illegal handguns and not like banned handguns from law abiding gun owners. No, no, no. The liberals back a couple years ago literally reduced the sentence for carrying a smuggled handgun from the United States. So if like a gang member in Toronto gets caught with a firearm, they might not even serve a day in prison. That's how bad it is. And obviously, he's not going to deal with this stuff. So this all got me thinking, well, I want to read the liberals, anti-crime agenda on their website. I want to see what they say in detail about their policy. I have a background in policy. My bachelor degree is in policy studies. I have a master in public policy. That doesn't make me the most qualified person to speak on every subject, obviously, but I can read a policy document and sort of evaluate whether or not this seems realistic, whether it's going to fix the problems I know exist, especially because I do a lot of research in crime. That's my entire research paper and for my master's degree was studying crime in Toronto. And so I went to the Liberal website. And what was on the Liberal website? Well, let's explore it together because I was blown away by how little is here. Truly, Mark Carney and the Liberals are running on nothing. There is nothing here. So I'm a bit of a spoiler alert here, but we will attempt our darndest to find anything on the current Liberal website. This is not an old website. Carney's face is right there. This is the current one. And we will try and find literally anything about crime on this website. Before we get into this section, guys, I just want to remind you if you really like my federal election coverage and you want to keep up to date with it, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get to 100,000 subscribers by mid December, so I don't actually have to buy my friends dinner because I have made the dumbest bet on the planet that if I do not get to 100,000 subscribers, I owe all five of them dinner, whereas if I win, they just owe me dinner. Anyways, so without further ado, let's get into this website. Okay, so here we are on the landing page, and right away we have chip in, donate up here, register volunteer. Okay, fair enough. Every party has this stuff. And let's go, sign up for the email thing. We have some of the ads that they've been running. It's just the videos. And then you go down, they're asking for money again, the different victory funds, the little things that they're doing to, get people involved, giving per month for specific functions of the party. So let's go back up to the top. We have Mark Carney here. So what does this say? So Mark Carney is the leader of the Liberal Party. Mark Carney was born in Fort Smith, Northwest Territories, and raised in Edmonton, Alberta. Both of his parents were teachers. Growing up, he played blah, 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 and banker, governor of the Bank of Canada. It's honestly not that big. He's basically governor of the Bank of Canada, governor of the Bank of England. They really don't mention any Brookfield stuff on here because obviously that is extremely sketchy. I don't even think they mentioned Goldman Sachs here. They really wanted to downplay his work in the private sector for some reason. Maybe it's because the Liberal Party has become so left wing, doing anything in the private sector is considered a big red flag. This stuff we don't need to see, but this is all the things that they've been releasing on social media that, Pierre Poilievre's a mean, nasty man because something, something Trump. Let's go to the latest, guys. The latest. What you would assume to be the latest stuff they've done. So let's go to blog here. A tax break for all Canadians. Let's click on the most recent one. When was this published? December 13th, 2024. So the latest thing that the Liberal Party of Canada has put on its website detailing something it is doing or something it wants to do was published by Justin Trudeau's team on December 13th, 2024. Around the same time, by the way, that Mark Carney was moving Brookfield Asset Management from Toronto to New York City, by the way. So everything else here is literally just older crap. It's just Justin Trudeau stuff. Okay, well, let's try and find a platform. Be part of it. Commit to vote. Join the movement. Donate. Events, volunteer, training, shop. Okay? That doesn't help. We have videos. Are these the new videos? Okay, some of these are actually newer videos. I believe so. Well, actually, let's check if these are even newer videos. Okay, that's actually a newer video, but that was from when Mark Carney won the leadership of the Liberal Party. Okay, well, about LPC? Okay, there's literally nothing even about the LPC. You can't even find anything about them. Commissions, territorial boards, careers, okay. Documents? Do we have a platform here? Okay, we don't even have policy resolutions passed since 2023 to read. There is nothing here. Okay. I know this is boring, guys, but that's kind of the point. There is literally nothing here for me to talk about. We have the candidates. This literally doesn't mean anything because we can go to Amarjeet Sohi here, and what's it going to be? Show your support. Okay. And it just says he's a local champion, good guy, and he's like the mayor of Edmonton or whatever. Okay. Platform. Can we find a platform here? Find your riding. Media releases. Okay, well, what do we have here? Media releases. Okay, I guess Mark Carney of Liberals announced new Canada Strong Pass. Okay, what does this do? Okay, April 12th, this is from today. What's here? Ottawa, Ontario. With President Trump threatening our economy and sovereignty, Canadians are uniting to find new ways to discover and celebrate our beautiful country. So many Canadians are cutting back vacations to the United States and instead making memories here at home, showing our Canadian pride. And today, Mark Carney's Liberals announced new Canada Strong Pass so kids and young families can better discover, celebrate over the summer. This builds our announcement to connect families with nature by making access to national parks and historic sites for free for everyone this summer. Okay. Who cares? Okay, I guess that's technically a policy. Fighting crime. Let's look at this one. Okay, this is literally just the thing before. We're just going to be putting 1,000 RCMP and CBSI officers, increase funding to public prosecution. There's no detail. Toughen the criminal code and make bail law stricter for violent or organized crime, home invasion, car stealing, and human trafficking, including for repeat offenders. Okay, well, how are they going to do that? They have to repeal their own laws, but it doesn't say they're going to do that here. Invest in our first responders. Aggressively pursue actions to protect children from online crimes. Fight the horrifying rise in hate and protect our community. So they're still going to push forward that Bill C-36 or whatever. Yeah. There's nothing, there's literally no platform. There's like no solid platform. They have some minor announcements here about, giving the CBC money and some bullet points about how we're going to make Canadians healthier and happier, and we're going to sing Kumbaya, and kids are going to be able to go to national parks or whatever. Other than maybe like reducing taxes by 1% for people under 50,000 in terms of income, there's been no detail released by Mark Carney and the Liberals whatsoever. And the obnoxious thing is I keep hearing from Liberal cheerleaders online that it's actually the Conservatives who are just very, very shallow and all they do is sloganeer. I have had people who go to Mark Carney like events, rallies, and have reported on the fact that for the first 20 minutes of the rally, it's basically just Mark Carney repeating slogans like Canada should be strong. We should stand up for Canadian workers. We are not America. We are not the 51st state. And that is it. And then he will go into platitudes about how we need safer communities. So we are going to hire more police officers. We are going to grow the economy by investing in Canada. There's nothing going on here. And yet, the media, people who know better because they have policy backgrounds, let them get away with it. Here is a big tell that the debate is probably not going to go very well for Mark Carney. We already have liberal talking heads online trying to downplay the importance of the debate. We have Chantal Hubert here saying, pretty much sums up how I also feel. James Moore, why leader debates don't matter. They do matter, especially in this election. Do people remember the 1984 election where the whole thing really hinged on Brian Mulroney absolutely destroying John Turner in the debate? John Turner being the other man who was the prime minister without actually being elected? This stuff has happened before. In fact, I would even say in the last few elections, big moments have occurred at the debates. I think that Andrew Scheer didn't beat Justin Trudeau in part because he had a bit of a lackluster debate performance. Him turning to Trudeau and saying, "You're unfit for office, you're unqualified, you're, corrupt or whatever." It was weak. There wasn't really any good punches. It was too mechanical. And if he just did it better, it would have actually swung the vote harder. And that was an election where the Conservatives gained like 1.5% more of the vote on the national level, they'd be across the finish line. They would have won. So yeah, I am enjoying seeing them basically like disassociate themselves from the whole idea, the concept of debating. It's going to obviously be a big deal. I actually was just talking to somebody on the phone a little bit ago, and they pointed out the French debate is going to be horrific because even Jagmeet Singh will have far better French than Mark Carney does. Again, Mark Carney keeps taking time off the campaign trail every time he hits a speed bump on the road. The fact that he cannot stand up to very friendly media questions, yeah, they have to ask him about some liberal candidate scandals, and they have to ask him an unkind question here and there, because obviously, if they didn't, they would look like super big propagandists, and he can't even stand up to those questions. It will be questions like about Paul Chang. Those were really tough questions that Mark Carney was given. It wasn't like it was the toughness of the question that defeated him. It was his own lack of moral fiber that defeated him because he wouldn't disassociate from Paul Chang until way later that day when it was so obvious the previous days that they should have dropped him as a candidate. By the way, they've replaced him with this Yoon guy in Markham Unionville who also is connected to the CCP, maybe even in more dramatic fashions than Paul Chang because he attended a military parade in Beijing with the Chinese and the Russians, basically sat there pretending that he is a very important person and because Xi Jinping's people had invited him out. They are scandal plagued, and every time that Mark Carney gets asked a question, he fumbles the ball and then needs to take a break. He's not going to be able to do that on the 16th and the 17th when he has to do back to back French and then English debates, or I think English then French. It's not going to work out. Anyways, though, that should be it for me today, guys. The Liberals are truly not running on anything. I would say that if you have any friends voting Liberal because they think that Mark Carney has a plan, point them to the Liberal Party website and ask them to find you an actual concrete platform with detail. Not bullet points saying we're going to make people happy, healthier, and smile more. Find me the thing saying how we're going to fix crime. Which bail reform bills are we going to get rid of to tighten up our laws, like prosecuting criminals? You can't find it other than a little bit of detail saying we're going to hire some more police officers and cut taxes a little bit. It's actually Polyev, the man constantly accused of only using platitudes, who has been the one giving very, very clear and consistent detail about what he wants to do, where he wants to cut spending, how much he wants to cut taxes, which laws he will repeal, and what he will replace them with. It is not just saying we're going to tighten up the laws. He will say how he will tighten up the laws. Anyway, so That's it for me today, guys. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, do all that great stuff, and I'll see you all later.